What's up, everyone? You're listening to the RAS Project. My name is Ivan Temokov, and I'm your host. On this podcast, we discuss entrepreneurship, personal development, family, tech, and marketing. Why in the fuck should you listen to this podcast? This podcast is for those of you who are looking for life changing advice and ways to thrive digitally with your business. As always, all content is 100% real, raw, and unfiltered. As a quick reminder, this podcast airs every Monday and Friday. So you get 2 episodes every week, and you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or anywhere else podcasts are streamed. You can also watch it on Facebook Watch and YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, the One Life hat is back. You might be wondering, why in the fuck am I wearing a hat? And what month is it? April? Well, it's because the alternative is me looking like a bear that's stuck in hibernation mode for eternity. That is literally what's happening right now. And judging by the way of things are going, it just doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get a haircut anytime soon. Plus, by the way, the One Life brand I'm hoping to launch finally, very, very soon. In addition to other swag that you'll be able to pick up at my website, ivantemokov.com. In this episode, I want to talk about the war you're fighting, the endless war you're fighting, and how to win it. This is going to be a specifically special episode for entrepreneurs, for those of you that are looking to get more out of life, more out of your business, but you might feel stuck and you don't know what it is that you need to do to get to that next level. You see, there's an ongoing war, a war against yourself, a war that you are fighting on a daily basis. Please understand that in our lives as humans, we all are fighting for something. We are all fighting to be better versions of ourselves, not just in our lives, in our personal lives, in our marriages, in our relationships, but also in our businesses. I don't know about you, but I'm always looking for ways to level up. I'm looking for ways, for instance, for people to prove me wrong. In fact, that's one of my things as of lately that I'm really trying to emphasize upon even more is to be proven wrong. Why are you fighting this war, though? You see, each one of us are fighting a war against ourselves due to the fact that we're always looking for a better version of ourselves. We all have flaws. We all have imperfections. We all want to do better in life and in business. And the thing of it is that nothing will change in your life or business until you take the necessary steps to win that war against yourself. You have to make a strategic plan, a plan of action that is required to help you keep moving forward. And I know what you're probably saying right about now. Ivan, I've heard about these action plans and everybody on the internet is telling me about them. Hear me out. What I'm telling you is what has worked for me, and I know that it'll work for you. Okay? So why do you need an action plan? That's probably the biggest question that everyone asks. To win the war against yourself. Think of it this way. When two countries decide to go to war against each other, they don't just send their troops against the enemy, against the opponent, to slaughter each other. That would be madness. Okay? That would be completely fucked up. Instead, each opponent creates a war plan, an action plan, a tactical plan to help them strategically tackle that opponent. The war you're fighting against yourself requires a tactical plan. This tactical plan will ensure that you win each battle and continue to keep pushing forward in every aspect of your life and business. I know you're asking right about now, what then should I include in my tactical plan, Ivan? Right? And that's an excellent question. That's exactly what I want to tell you right now. There are 3 things that have to be a part of your tactical plan in order to win the war against yourself. You better be ready to write this down. Get a piece of paper or rewind this part of the episode, because this is the most important part. There are 3 things you have to consider in your tactical plan to win the war against yourself. 1 is mind, number 2 is body, and number 3 is soul. And let me explain a little bit about each one of these and how to go about them. Okay? You see, a vast majority of my life, I did not take any of these things seriously. Mind, body, and soul. It's why for the vast majority of my life, I felt lost. I felt like I had no direction, or I would start and I would stop. I would start and I would stop. It's because I did not have this tactical plan that I needed, that I am sharing with you today on this episode in order to win the war against myself in my personal life, in my marriage, with my children, with my business, with other family, with anybody. But most importantly, it was with myself. If you can't win the war against yourself, you're not going to win a war against anybody else, because you're not content with yourself. And you have to be content with yourself. Okay? So let me dive into these 3 things: mind, body, and soul. What is mind? Why do you need mind? Mindset, psychology, and in general, the improvement of the way that you think and perceive things will drastically change your life and business. Mindset is literally everything. What the mind does is what it tells the body to do. What the mind tells the body does. If you're not making sound decisions for your life and business, chances are you're not going to get anywhere in either one of those. This is the first thing that I worked on improving the most, because the way you think has a huge impact on everything that you do in your personal life and in your business. It doesn't matter, because your mind, the way you think, the way you perceive things, invoke the actions that you're going to take. So if you're not clear-minded, if you're not in the right state of mind, you might be able to get by temporarily, but long-term, you're going to plateau really, really bad. You're going to plateau multiple times. It's exactly what I've done probably for a period of 20 years of my life. That's exactly what would happen. Is I would think that I had the right mindset, and then I would plateau, and then I would start again, and I would plateau. It just became a repetitive pattern. And I want you to understand the mindset is literally everything. Everything. Now, body, you have to take care of your body. If you're displeased with your physical appearance and the way you generally feel, you're not going to be able to perform at your best in life and in business. You've probably seen a trend with every successful person where they're crazy about exercise, right? Well, there's a reason why. Your body, exercise, nutrition are extremely important and need to complement mind and soul. They have to work in sync. All those 3, mind, body, and soul. So for your body, you have to eat better, exercise. Now, I'm going to share a little bit of a story with you, because I want you to understand personally from me how that has worked. 6 years ago, I decided to buy a bike out of the blue. To this day, I have no fucking idea what enticed me to do it. Willpower, God, I don't know. I just did. And it's probably one of the best decisions that I have made in my life. You want to know why? Riding a bicycle, a road bike, one that has handlebars on it, that I ride on the pavement, it wasn't about endurance. It wasn't about exercise. It was about mind therapy. Because when you're cycling, for me personally, I fall in a place where I'm completely untouchable. At least I get that feeling. Not to mention is that I have the biggest amount of clarity during that time than I've ever had before. And so the reason I've continued to cycle, and mind you, started out, I would do a single outing for like 5 miles, then 7 miles, then 11 miles, then 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles. And last year I finally did 50 miles on a single outing. And this year I'm going for 100. I mean, it's a very aggressive goal, but the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I exercise for mind therapy. I don't exercise for endurance. The endurance is great. It's the essential of riding a bike, but it's mainly for my mind therapy. That is the most important thing. And that's what I want you to understand, and why that is so important. Now, another tidbit that I'm going to throw into that is going to the gym. Also, you see, prior to a year and 2 months ago, roughly, I spent the vast majority of my life starting to go to the gym and then quitting, starting, quitting, starting, quitting. It was just repetitive behavior. I would go a year or two at a time where I would be paying gym fees without actually attending the gym. And you know what? A lot of it was fear. A lot of it wasn't because I was incapable of doing the work and attending. It was because I was allowing fear. I wasn't in the right state of mind to be able to follow through on those things. So last year I said enough is enough. Started going to the gym, started becoming regular, lost 25 pounds, started eating better, introduced intermittent fasting. My life changed. My business changed. In 2019, I generated over 6 figures in revenue for myself, for my business. And that was all thanks to the changes, the mind, the body, and we're going to talk about soul that I made in my life that resulted in those outcomes. So I want you to understand that your body is sacred. You have to understand that you have to nurture it. If you don't nurture it, it's not going to work in congruence. It's going to impact your life. You're going to have health problems. You're going to be eating fattening foods. You're going to have all kinds of complications. You're going to have mood swings. I mean, it's amazing just on the nutrition side of things, specifically, of what happens. So number 2, as part of your tactical plan, just so you're following along, is body. Number 1 was mind. Number 2 is body. And now the third one that I want to talk about is your soul. Please understand that your soul, if your soul is not at peace, you're not going to be able to accomplish anything in your life and business. I believe in God. He is the Holy Savior. God has played a significant role in my life and in my business so many times that denying him, his existence, his impact, his involvement would simply be counterintuitive in my life. And other things like attempting to be spiritually connected, meditation, which by the way, I'm totally sucking at meditation. That is like the one thing that I just can't get into. But that's just it. Your soul, you have to be at peace internally. If you're not, you're going to be angry. And you're not going to be able to make the right decisions. I will tell you this, mind, body, soul is part of your tactical plan. To win the war against yourself is a lifelong endeavor. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And if it does, by some miracle, I applaud you, because that means you have invested the time, the resources, the energy necessary to win the war against yourself. I want you to win the war against yourself, because I know what it feels like to be at war with yourself. I've been at war with myself for a huge part of my life, and it has been counterintuitive. It has taken me years, many failures, to understand the intricacies of mind, body, and soul, having a tactical plan to be able to win that war against yourself, to be the best version of you. That is what I'm talking about here. That is why you are constantly battling, because you can't find your true self. People spend their entire lifetime trying to find their true self. And the way you're going to do that is by having a tactical plan. Improve your mindset. Take care of your body. It's a sacred sanctuary. And your soul. Your soul is really, really important. Until you do those three things and you master them, and I know you can, you're not going to be able to see an impact in your life and in your business. This is coming from me because I have done all of these things. And I know the road that it leads to, the road that bad decisions lead to, quick wins, instant gratification, all of that. It leads to a giant rabbit hole with an infinite depth. That's what it leads to. I don't want you to go there. It's a very dark and lonely place. Look, guys and gals, I have one favor to ask from you. If you feel that I've given you some value on this podcast, some perspective, or helped you make a change in your personal life or business, I would greatly appreciate it if you shared this podcast with someone else. I'm not selling you anything or forcing you to buy shit that you don't want. I'm simply asking you to share this podcast with other entrepreneurs or anyone who wants to make a change in their life and business. If you enjoyed the podcast and you keep coming back, it would also mean the world to me if you shared a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or otherwise anywhere else where you can cast a review for a podcast. It's going to give other people a reason to listen and hopefully help them change their life and their business. If you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, please email me at ivan@razorsharpdigital.com, or you can also message me on Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And before I sign off, the only thing I have to say is remember, you have one life to live. You only live once. Never stop trying. I love y'all. God bless. Stay safe and healthy during this coronavirus pandemic. We will get through it. I will talk with you soon. Bye-bye.